If you look at Afghanistan, there has been an international coalition of forces led by the United States and Britain for the last 10 years. They are still bogged down there. If you look at Pakistan, with all the support from the West, it's still bogged down with terrorist explosions and attacks. If you look at Iraq, the same thing has been going on. If you look at Algeria, terrorism still is Yemen, there are still attacks. Even China has joined the club of nations that are undergoing terrorist attacks. So the war we are fighting in Nigeria is a difficult one because the enemy is hidden among the people. If it was a conventional war like we fought during the Civil War, I can assure you that the Nigerian armed forces will defeat these terrorists in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. But the war is different because you need the cooperation of the people. You need every level of government doing the job they need to do. You need the village areas, you need the districts, you need the chiefdoms, you need the local governments, you need the state governments, organizing people in every unit to watch around them, to see what is happening in their community, to speak out, to communicate to security agencies and state officials.
All right, Honorable Minister, just a minute. Sorry to bump into what you're saying.
We also need to unite the country.
You answered my question about the fact that there seems to be some discordant tune in the dissemination of information from the top about this insurgency. We seem to be hearing different things. And also tell me, is the president going to give amnesty to members of Boko Haram?
Now, let me say this. You remember that what you look at as discordant tones is also because sometimes we have short memory, short public memory. You remember that the president set up an amnesty committee, you know, which proclaimed that some of the people in Boko Haram, who are our children, who are prepared to lay down their arms, the government is prepared to talk to them. And there was actually an amnesty committee led by Kabiru Turaki, SAN, Minister of Special Duties. And that committee, you know, was formed to begin the process of dialogue. And this was after many Nigerians, you know, including elders, statesmen, advised government on the need to open a channel for dialogue. And the president decided to set up an amnesty committee. And the purpose of the amnesty committee was that if today Boko Haram lays down their arms and they see that the damage they're doing to the country is against God, is against religion, if they lay down their arms and are prepared to talk to the Nigerian government and confess that they are stopping the killings, the government is prepared to talk to them. That's why we set up the amnesty committee. So it's been a consistent thing. It is not a new thing. So to say that there are discordant views, in my opinion, I do not think it is so. Now, of course, in a war of this nature, there are different levels of information. For example, the military relates to the public directly through the defense headquarters, and they speak on it. And I can tell you in the last 1 year, I have managed the insurgency information every week, meeting with all the stakeholders involved and communicating that information to the public. But at the same time, there are different layers of government. The Borno state government talk to the media. The military talk to the media. And at the level of the federal government, what we did recently was to set up a center to unify the daily information that is going out, you know, to the public, which brings all the services together to speak to the public. But so far, what we have seen is that what is sometimes seen as discordant tones is not so, because government already set up an amnesty committee. So to begin to ask the question whether the government was prepared to give amnesty, yes, if people lay down their arms and stop the fight and confess their sins and come back to Nigeria and say, look, we are wrong, we don't want what has happened, we now want peace in our country. If there are elements there, government is prepared to talk to them.
All right,
government
thank you so very much, Honorable Minister of Information, Mr. Labaran Maku, for talking to us on politics today. I must allow you to go right now. Thank you for your thoughts on the program. You are still watching Politics Today on Channels Television. But before we go, earlier on, we had an interview with the Governor of Imo State, Mr. Rochas Okorocha, and he bared his mind on issues relating to opposition politics and the PDP, and with his party, APC. Allow you here a few minutes of that interview.
I could take you up on the issue you mentioned in your State of Imo address when you made an appeal that political parties should bury their differences and come together towards fighting insurgency and protecting Nigeria from insurgency. Now, if you are making that appeal, has the opposition actually approached the ruling party with this appeal to bury your differences so that you can fight the insurgency together?
APC is a willing partner. The question you should ask, has the government of the day ever invited APC and said, listen, gentlemen, this is not the time to talk about political difference. Let us unite and face this challenge that we have as a nation, because it's a challenge. And like I said during my State of Imo address, I said, listen, I went to the hospital and I saw some people lying lifeless. They're not from any particular political party. They're not from any particular religion. Neither are they from any particular state. This is spread. It's an ill wind that blows no one any good. When we hear people are killed in Jos, it appears to us as if it's only Plateau people that are being killed. It's not true. Igbos are killed, Yorubas are killed, Hausas are killed. When you hear in Maiduguri that they're bombing in Maiduguri, the first that comes to people's mind is that it's only the Maiduguri people that are killed. It's not true. Igbos are killed, Hausas are killed, Christians are killed, Muslims are killed. Isn't that enough for us to say, listen, let us bury our differences and how can we forge together as a nation to tackle this issue? When we are finished with this battle, we'll come back and divide along political line. But the problem with a Nigerian politician, and especially those from the ruling party, they do not know when to separate and when to unite.
Well, let's even talk about the elections for 2015. If being a governor in Imo State is so much of a burden, where you sleep for an average of 4 hours every day, then it means you will shy away from running for the presidency.
Okay. Again, I come to you. If I sit down in my quiet moment and ask myself, what am I doing? I don't find an answer. But tomorrow again, there's a driving force in me. I think that's what is called vision and passion. You see, when I say it is not for the profit of the job, believe me, it's not for the profit of the job. I never knew I was a rich man until I became a governor. Now I compare my life to what it is now, and I know I was a comfortable man. But the passion, you can't get it from a private practice. You cannot reach a larger society. There's a limit to what you can do as a private person. So, talking about presidency, yes, for instance, I believe I have a solution to Boko Haram. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. Maybe I'm not right. But I feel in me, there's this excitement in me that, listen, put me tomorrow, I fix Nigeria. Listen, and because I said that in Imo, I said I can fix Imo, and it was less than 2 years I got Imo fixed.
Now, if you're prescribing a solution to Boko Haram, do you have to be a president before the problem of Boko Haram can be solved?
Yeah, because you have authority. What can you do? You can only suggest. You see, I couldn't have helped Imo State if I wasn't a governor. I could only make suggestions, and it's left for the man on the steering to know whether he wants to drive that way or not. For instance, in Imo State, I introduced the CGC, Community Government Council, and it helped to wipe away the kidnapping cases here. What did I do? I have 637 communities, I have traditional rulers, and I say, you traditional rulers, I hold you responsible. You're the chairman of chief security officer of your community. And what do you need? I give you some use and call them Imo Security Network and Imo Community Watch. They have nothing. But the interesting thing that they know every criminal in that community. And I said to them, if that fails, I'll fire you. Well, within 1 year, kidnapping starts. Listen, everything in life is local. Even security must be local. So, if, for instance, in Maiduguri, you have a community and just give them 2 policemen or 5 policemen, there'll be no Boko Haram there. It's very simple.
Interesting. Now, talking about politics, particularly in the southeast here, the APC appears to be in the minority compared to the other parties, whether the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Now, come 2015, what makes you think that the APC will still be relevant in the southeast?
For APC in the southeast, we're saying the time for change has come. The APC in the southeast is not really, don't say it's a political party per se. It's a change in the way we have been doing politics in the southeast. That's all the gospel I'm preaching. So when you say APC, really, is there really difference in a political party in Nigeria? And political parties in Nigeria build on the basis of ideology? I say no. If it's on the basis of ideology, there's no political party in Nigeria. So it's an individual that makes the party. But the practice is what I'm interested in. The practice of the way they do things in PDP does not allow for the emergence of good leaders. So we're trying to say, let's change. Not really party per se, but let us have a name that allows people to change the way they do things. In other words, in APC, people will now choose the right leaders. People who have track record of criminality cannot be in power. That's all we're saying. Change it. Because political office does not change anybody. Believe me, my brother. Believe me. All it does is it enhances who you are before the members of the public.
Now, if you said in your State of Imo address that your prayer is for internal democracy and justice to prevail in the All Progressives Congress, is that for us to understand that these qualities do not exist in the APC?
Why do I say that? That's my worry. If APC deviates from that very principle, then they are simply a PDP in different name. If I stay with you and we're going to contest, and I defeat you properly, you shake me. But when you know that I didn't defeat you, I just maneuvered it, you'll not be happy. That's the crisis we have in Nigeria. The whole political crisis starts with internal democracy and injustice. I suffered injustice. So everything I did in politics never worked. Until I heard about the ugly news in Imo State, that Reverend Fathers have been flogged, that people are disappearing every day, that the whole place has become hell of fire, then I came back. I came on a rescue mission. My intention has never been to be a governor. I was here on a rescue, that's why I call it a rescue mission. And when I came here, I was going to go to Labour Party, I had ABGA, it would have been any party, because there was no ABGA in Imo State when I came, no single councillor. And I was at the verge of taking either Labour Party or what do you call it, ABGA. Before I met Ojukwu, shortly he became sick. I never even appeared in my campaign. I took ABGA and I became the governor of Imo State. Now, why do I go back to APC? Simply because I also know that ABGA is a regional party and cannot guarantee for Southeast what they will get nationally. Because PDP today has no program for Southeast at all. Can you imagine the tripod upon which this nation is built? Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. That was the regional tripod before we have the 6 regions. Today, no Igbo man is a president in Nigeria. No Igbo man is vice president in Nigeria. No Igbo man is senate president in Nigeria. No Igbo man is speaker.
Well, that's the thoughts of the Imo State Governor, Rochas Okorocha, talking with my colleague Charles Eruka earlier in the week. Well, that's how far we can go on the program tonight. But don't forget that we are taking note of your comment. I'll just take 2 of your comments tonight. But don't forget, we're still keeping in touch with you. At Sajamix on Twitter told us that the best way to tackle corruption is by changing the economy. How will you change the economy with corruption? Guess that's a question to the Minister for Information. And at Easy, Oladipo Idris says, Mr. Marcus should give us clear examples of GJ's administration's anti-corruption feat. Well, those are the few ones that we can take on the program today. Well, that's been our program tonight on Politics Today on Channels Television. On behalf of the crew, I'm Sheon Kimbale. Till next time, have a pleasant moment. Bye for now.